أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وخليله بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح للأمة فكشف الله تعالى به الغمة وجاهد في الله حق جهاده حتى أتاه اليقين من ربه. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد الرحمة المهداة وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وعلى أصحابه وعلى من تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. All praises belonging to Allah Azza wa Jal, and may the peace and blessings be upon His beloved Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and upon his family and companions in entirety. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal on this blessed day of Friday to make us of those who truly understand faith and who have a strong sense of faith when dealing with the struggles and trials of life, and who grow through their experiences and their journey in this dunya in a way that's meaningful and in a way that brings them closer to Allah Azza wa Jalla. Allahumma ameen. Amma ba'd, brothers and sisters, last week in the khutbah we made it all about back to school and the advice of Sayyidina Luqman alayhi salam to his son, and thoughts about what our youth are facing in their relationships and in their own journey of growth in this dunya. And then at night we spoke about another subject. We spoke about the problem of evil. Why does evil exist? And why do good people suffer? And one of the reflections that came about from the event was that there were so many people, more than usual, that attended for the evening lecture. And if that says anything, it says that a shared thing between most people is this sense of mu'anah, a sense of struggle, hardship. Everyone's trying to figure out things in their life. Everyone is going through personal things, whether they're emotional, mental, or they're family-related, spiritual, in terms of their decisions and their choices, people are fundamentally struggling and are asking themselves really big questions, and sometimes these choices and decisions lead to a struggle in faith. That's something that I think everyone can relate to. Everyone has seen at some level, to the extent that many people are losing their sense of faith. They find themselves in a position where they have to make critical decisions in their life that relate to marriage, that relate to, for our youth, adulthood, that relate to relationships, that relate to their work. And those decisions are like a fork in the road. They either empower a person and help them succeed, or they lead them to a great deal of ruin. And that's something I wanted to reflect a little bit more about in this khutbah. Because one of the greatest challenges of our iman, brothers and sisters, is the subject of qadar. The unknowns, the variables, the things that are beyond our control sometimes, and sometimes they're well within our control. But there's a build-up in terms of our decisions, and when we arrive at those junctures, sometimes we find that it's a little too late to change the direction, or it's very difficult to change the direction. The misconceptions of the mind, they're endless. And for this reason, a lot of these hot topic issues, whether you're talking about the problem of evil and what inspired it, the heartache and pain that people are going through around the world, whether it's in Pakistan or in Palestine or in Syria or wherever you look, where you see heartache and pain, or people going through some type of calamity in their health or in their family or in their lives. And when you look at that, the only thing that we could do to really address this on a bigger level is to rethink our connection with spirituality. I need to grow spiritually. I need to be able to thicken my spiritual strength in order to deal with the different things that are going to come my way. Allah Azza wa Jal has made this element of qadar in our lives that either paralyzes someone or empowers them. What are we talking about? We're talking about something like death. In this past week, so many deaths that were unexpected. Young age, happened suddenly, happened with no pretense and no preparation. That's always there. And Allah says this in the Quran, الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. That element of qadar, in that unknown reality. It's a great form of trial. There's no trial without the element of qadar and iman. قُلْ لَا أَمْلِكُ لِنَفْسِي نَفْعًا وَلَا ضَرًّا إِلَّا مَا شَاءَ اللَّهُ وَلَوْ كُنْتُ أَعْلَمُ الْغَيْبَ لَاسْتَكْثَرْتُ مِنَ الْخَيْرِ. If I knew the unseen, I would have been able to overcome everything that's going to come my way. But we don't. And that's where the test of qadar is coming from, brothers and sisters. Now, the other side of this, and this is what we also spoke about in the lecture last week, is misconceptions about qadar. Are my actions and choices from qadar? هل اختياراتي وتصرفاتي لها تعلق بالقدر الإلهي? Does it have any relation? That's something deep to think about. And that's what we're going to go into more, relating to loss of faith in this khutbah, insha'Allah ta'ala. Is the concept of al-mas'uliyya al-shakhsiyya, the personal idea, personal responsibility, is it relevant to qadar? Because for some, qadar is treated as this thing that's beyond me and I have nothing to do with it, and it just comes about and goes on, and all I have to say is qaddar Allah wa ma sha'a fa'al. But of course, this is a grand misconception. When we spoke about the pain that comes about in people's lives, This dunya that we're in, brothers and sisters, is قائمة على الأسباب. قائمة على الأسباب. It's built upon a relationship of causality. Why is my life the way it is? If you look closely, you'll be able to find answers that perhaps some of the things I did or said, some of the decisions I made led to this position, led to this situation. That's what we really should be thinking about. That's the true test of qadr, is the idea of owning up to responsibility on one end and trusting in Allah's plan on the other end. The shaitan comes to us, brothers and sisters, and he wants us to doubt Allah's ability to forgive, Allah's ability to accept. He wants us to doubt Allah's plan. That's how the shaitan constantly throws us off with misdirection in our lives. The test of qadr. When we look at our youth and we look at all of us really, all of us in our decisions and our growth in this dunya, and you look at the situation that people are going through, we need to really trace our steps back and figure out, is there something in this element of qadr that's going back to me that perhaps I could change? Because the Prophet ﷺ says, وَإِنَّ الْعَبْدَ لَيُحْرَمُ الرِّزْقَ بِالذَّنْبِ يُصِيبُهُ. Yes, I have a decision to make, and that decision might perhaps deny me part of my rizq because of a sin I commit. The individual is denied part of his sustenance because of a sin he commits. And when I look at a hadith and the verses of the Quran, I see this meaning repeated multiple times. That idea of dua, pushing away divine decree. That idea of amal salih, cancelling out good deeds, cancelling out bad deeds. In the hasanat yudhibna sayyi'at. That idea of doing goodness to others, bringing goodness my way. Idfa' al-bala'a bis-sadaqah. Push away calamities by giving charity. That idea of being good to parents, or being wretched to parents, either being a cause of goodness in my dunya or a cause of punishment in my dunya. اثنان عقوبتهما معجلة في الدنيا البغي والعقوق. There's two things, as our Prophet ﷺ teaches us, that their consequences immediate in this dunya. One of them is transgression and oppression, and the other one is uquq, is wretchedness to parents and cutting off ties of kin. When I trace back those steps and I look at myself on a bigger scheme, and when I look at the younger generation that are in a position of making a lot of decisions, there is a big strain, brothers and sisters, on us all. And that's why the subject of mu'anah and hardship and difficulty hits a special place in our hearts. Not because of anything, but because we're all dealing with it. We're all dealing with that. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. We have created people in a state of toil and difficulty. That's something the Quran says. Where is this difficulty coming from? Well, at least my part, I could assess myself. Is it coming from a weak sense of commitment to my values? When you look at a younger generation and their decisions that they have to, you often find that the case. And sometimes even with parents and older people as well. Is it coming from me not making Allah my priority and His rida my priority in my life? Sometimes, and many times, the answer is yes. Where's the proof? Look at the decisions that people make in terms of their work, in terms of their relationships, in terms of the way they spend their time. If all of my time is dedicated to things that are far away from my purpose in this existence, then how can I blame Allah for my life being difficult? Yeah, I hardly pray my 5 salawat, and I fast Ramadan, and I attend Jum'ah. If that's my situation, then how can I go and say, my life's not fair? Why is Allah allowing all these bad things to happen to me? Did I make Allah a priority in my life? Did I really try to live my purpose? Am I living my life meaningfully? Am I making use of my time in a constructive way, or is my time destroying me? Wallahi, this question is a very important question to answer, because many people, their time destroys them. Their time, their free time, it destroys them. When you look at the cause and the idea of personal responsibility in the element of qadar, and we look at what's happening, why is life becoming so difficult for many of us? One of those other things is the loss of good support. Brothers, تقدموا إلى الأمام. افسحوا يفسح الله لكم. Any position you see, come forward so that people don't have to walk between the lines. جزاكم الله خير. The loss of good support. Is my home a hub of faith? The family is supposed to be al-hadina al-ula lil-iman. It's supposed to cultivate iman. There's supposed to be a sense of spirituality there. A sense of companionship. That's what's supposed to be there. But then if I as a parent don't create that culture at home, and then it comes about leading to all kinds of problems with my children as they grow up, can I really blame qadar? Or should I blame myself and have some personal responsibility? Sometimes kids learn sinfulness at home. Wal-'iyadhu billah. You go to some of the situations that we have to deal with, even just when you're talking about profanity and people speaking in a very toxic way, in a very negative way. Why do you talk like this? Oh, well, this is how we communicate at home. I ask for something, my father curses at me, I curse back. My mother curses at me, I curse back. This is how we communicate. I've grown up my whole life like this. Well then how is that supposed to create a sense of adab and khuluq, a sense of ihsan and a sense of kindness and compassion towards others? When we're talking about qadar and we look at our reality, and one of the biggest struggles there is the desires running wild. The opioid epidemic, overdoses, brothers and sisters. We're hearing about it all the time. And sometimes it's happening and we don't hear about it. People are passing away because of it. And instead of someone coming to tell you, oh yeah, this young person died because he overdosed, families don't want to expose their challenges to the public like that. That's a reality for people. And that's a struggle for us as a community. The opioid epidemic, brothers and sisters, where am I going with this? The toxic expressions of sexuality. That's one of the strains that we have to deal with today. What are my children being exposed to? Well, if you just have a very hands-off and don't care approach, and you're going to find that even in cartoons and in animation movies, even from a very young age, the stuff that's being instilled in terms of gender identity and sexual expression, how on earth are those going to lead to positive results if I absolutely have no say and have no sense of suhbah? No sense of suhbah. I'm not talking about ta'deeb. Yeah, you could easily turn the TV and throw the phone out the window. Yeah, some people do that. Oh yeah, you don't want to wear hijab? Give me your phone. I'm going to break it and throw it out the window, and you're going to be stuck in your room for X amount of time. Yeah, great job. Now, when they find their way out of the room, they'll figure out a way to do what they want and cancel you out. Yeah, the challenges of sexual expression, the challenges of antisocial behavior, because everyone's in their own little bubble with social media and online stuff, and people aren't interacting with each other. And when you're talking about that and all the mental health issues that it's leading to, then we can't really go back and say, قدر الله ما شاء فعل وليس لي من الأمر شيء. I did my job. I put them in college. I got him a nice car. I paid for his wedding. And I'm a good father. And that's it. My responsibility is over. He chose to make bad decisions for himself. La, we can't do that. That's not tarbiyah. You know what, brothers and sisters? One of the things, and wallahi it's difficult to deal with this. One of the things about tarbiyah is it doesn't happen in a day or night. It doesn't happen quickly. It happens very slowly. But what happens with tarbiyah is so difficult to reverse. It's so difficult to reverse and painful to see. You know what, is just like some of the illnesses that happen with people. You know what, you could tell someone and advise someone to take precautionary measures. and to make sure to avoid this and don't eat that and make sure you exercise like that. But once a terminal illness comes, there's little you could do. When someone gets cancer, when someone starts getting heart disease, yeah, you could try to address it medically. But at that point, you're in a very devastating situation, and many times you can't reverse it. Should I want that for myself as a young person? Before I go to the parents, should I want that for myself as a young person? Should I want that for myself as a parent? Do I want the situation to become so compound and complicated that I need to figure out solutions through counseling and intervention, and I need to try to get someone to talk to my son or my daughter? I need to do something to save this situation. No, I shouldn't want that for myself. I shouldn't prepare myself for that. Brothers and sisters, each stage has its responsibilities. And if I don't realize that as a parent, then perhaps I might lead to my kids' ruin even when I don't mean it. Now, if we take this a little bit more personally, again, this is not a blame towards anybody. I'm really just thinking out loud, because there's a lot of struggles. And sometimes we get so confused in these struggles. And we don't know where to point the finger. Oh, it's my parents' fault. Oh, it's my children's fault. Oh, it's because Allah just decreed it that way. I did everything I was supposed to do. I did everything on the outside, but they made bad decisions, so it's not my problem. إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ. Where do I point the finger? It's so confusing because it involves so many different things. We're not trying to point fingers in the khutbah. Who's to blame? No. I want us all to think deeply about my decisions and my actions and how they're affecting me and those around me. When it comes to parents, people have different approach to their parenting. Some parents, and we're going to talk about this more tonight inshallah, some parents take their approach of, I'll continue to exert maximum pressure to maintain authority. I'm going to do everything I can because I'm in control. I'm the mother. I'm the father. What does that mean? If they disobey, tahdeed wa ta'neeb. I'm going to threaten and I'm going to make them feel regret. If they disobey, I'm going to cut off financial support. Yeah, go to your college by yourself. And you know what? Sometimes this is a really bad decision. Because we're dealing with everything we just said. And when we're talking about loss of faith, yeah, you could cut off money. But you know what? If you don't change someone's heart, and that's why we talked about spirituality in the beginning. If the heart isn't changed, then it's going to lead to all kinds of devastation. Cut off the money. When you cut off the money, you're cutting off your influence too. And unfortunately, there's too many cases like that. Wallahi, too many cases like that. Where it started off with a tug of war, back and forth. The kids are trying to do this, the parents are trying to do that. You know what? We reached a boiling point. I'm going to go with this guy or this girl. I'm going to leave Islam altogether. I hate this whole idea of religion. You keep on telling me that uquq, I'm going to go to hell because I'm not good to you, but you're not a good parent, and so on and so forth. And then we lead to just plain devastation. Brothers and sisters, I'm going to disown you if you don't choose the career I want for you. You need to be X, Y, Z. I'm going to disown you. You're not my son or daughter if you don't get married to fulan wala fulana. This type of approach to parenting, very controlling and authoritative. Sometimes parents don't realize it. But we need to be very careful not to cause the dalal and misguidance of our own children. No one wants that. If you ask someone, do you want your children to be misguided? They won't say yes. Who's going to say that? No one's going to say that. But sometimes the behaviors, the actions, personal responsibility, what am I creating? What am I doing? And this goes both ways, by the way. I'm talking about the parents now because last week we spoke about the kids. Goes both ways, right? I'm going to cut off my mother or father, and I'm not going to give them their rights. And I'm going to allow that to be prolonged, and you know what? Do I really think that element of personal responsibility and qadr is not going to come back to me with my own children? then it's not going to hurt me one day with my own children. No. The Quran tells us, وَتِلْكَ الْأَيَّامُ نُدَاوِلُهَا بَيْنَ النَّاسِ, that one day you're in a position of power and authority, tomorrow you're in a position of weakness. Be careful what you choose for yourself. Be very mindful and thoughtful, because actions absolutely have an effect. This is what our qadr teaches us. Our scholars teach us this. The al-qada' wal-qadr, qada'un mubramun wa qada'un mu'allaq. There's conditional decree and a firm decree. Anyone who thinks that faith cancels out our actions and decisions does not understand what faith is about. Someone can continue to make dua and pray salawat, but if their decisions and their behaviors are leading to ruin, they will be ruined, even as they're doing their prayers and making their dua. Actions lead to certain results. When we go back to the approaches towards parenting, some people do another thing. And again, that's why it's so confusing. It's so difficult. Wallahi, I ask Allah Azza wa Jal in this khutbah to help every mother or father. May Allah Azza wa Jal help every mother or father do the things that will inspire their kids to become better, that will inspire iman in the hearts, because wallahi, I know a lot of these influencers, they're not all coming from parents. It's coming from every single direction. But when I don't at least leave my portal, my doorway open, and I allow the outside influencers, drugs, friends, muharramat, misconceptions that are out there to take full hold of my son or daughter, then I'm preparing myself for devastating results. The other approach to parenting, absolute opposite. I'm going to let my children experiment with haram, and just so they continue to keep me in the loop, just so I'm aware of what they're doing. Let them do whatever they want, as long as they come back to me and they tell me, and I'm involved and I'm aware, it's okay. To the extent that sometimes people will accept the kaba'ir that their children are doing. They'll welcome the boyfriend or the girlfriend into the house and into the home, and accept a very corrupt reality inside and under their supervision. I'll abandon any sense of accountability. I'm not going to hold my children accountable. Khalas. They're grown up, let them do whatever they want. That's the absolute opposite extreme. And then the third extreme is, I don't have any time to think about this at all. As long as I put the money on the table and I do my part, everyone's gonna وَلَا تَزِرُ وَازِرَةٌ وِزْرَ أُخْرَى. Everyone's gonna be asked about their actions. I bring the money home and I paid for everything. وَخَلَاص عَلَى كِدَا. I can't think of anything else. Brothers and sisters, there's a big mas'uliyah. A big mas'uliyah. That mas'uliyah starts with قول الله تبارك وتعالى يوصيكم الله في أولادكم. يوصيكم الله في أولادكم. Allah advises you concerning your children. Wallahi, Allah's wasiyah is throughout His book and throughout the words of His Prophet ﷺ. Protect their souls before you protect their bodies. Protect their souls before you protect their bodies. Wallahi, no one will ever be able to do any sense of tarbiyah without there being emotional connection there. I can't influence another person if I'm not emotionally connected. I need to show my children love before I show them the iron fist. Good luck trying to change their lives with threats and demands and expectations. I need to be their friend. I need to make sure that there's this element of suhbah there, companionship. We're together in this. I, yes, am the parent, but I'm with you. I love you. I love you. Yeah, those are hard words to say for some people. The Prophet ﷺ, he tells the A'rabi, and we know the hadith. We all know the hadith when the Prophet ﷺ embraced Al-Hasan al-Hussein and he showed them love. And this A'rabi, he came and he said, تُقَبِّلُونَ أَبْنَاءَكُمْ. You kiss your children. I have 10 kids and I've never once kissed a single one of them. So he's saying it as though he's proud. Yeah, I'm building men, huh? He's proud. I've never kissed a single one of my children. And then the Prophet ﷺ, he tells him, وَمَا أَدْرِي أَنْ نَزَعَ وَمَاذَا أَفْعَلْ أَنْ نَزَعَ اللَّهُ الرَّحْمَةَ مِنْ قَلْبِكَ. What should I do? If Allah has stripped mercy from your heart, someone who's not merciful cannot be a murabbi. Someone who's not merciful cannot possibly impact the heart of another human being. Sometimes people make devastating mistakes. But if I allow the mistakes of others, the mistakes of my children, the mistakes of my spouse, to make me lose mercy, then you know what, I'm not going to be able to influence this person anymore. I'm not going to be able to win over a heart that I've lost mercy for. That's the first thing in the wasiyah of our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in raising children and in being a good parent. That's one thing. Teaching love. Another thing is teaching responsibility. Brothers and sisters, wallahi, this is, as we said, that is a very slow process, but it's like you're putting cement in the ground. In order to remove that cement, it's construction work. You got to bring the heavy equipment and you got to block off the road and you got to dig deep and demolish what's already been cemented there. Brothers and sisters, teaching responsibility is one of the biggest ways to save my son or daughter from these toxic influences from outside. Being a responsible person, what does it mean? It doesn't mean doing superficial things only on the outside. No, I'm responsible for my words because Allah says, مَا يَلْفِظُ مِنْ قَوْلٍ إِلَّا لَدَيْهِ رَقِيبٌ عَتِيدٌ. Allah teaching my son or daughter to realize that everything I utter is being recorded. Everything I do has a consequence. Teaching responsibility is one of the biggest ways to save my son or daughter from a lot of pain as they grow up. I'm responsible for certain things, and my son or daughter is also responsible for something else. Sayyidina ibn Umar, he said in his words, about beautiful words, he says to one of the people who came to ask him about raising children, he said, أَدِّبْ ابْنَكَ فَإِنَّكَ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ وَلَدِكَ وَمَا عَلَّمْتَهُ. Make sure you teach your son etiquette and you discipline him. And because you're going to be asked about something, and that something is how you protected your son and what you taught him. مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ وَلَدِكَ وَمَا عَلَّمْتَهُ. What did you instill in him? Did I instill in him anger and rage? Because every time my spouse does something that gets on my bad side, I curse them out with every word in the book, and I throw things at them, and I do horrendous things. And then I wonder why my children have anger issues. Maybe it's because I'm always yelling and shouting and breaking things. فَإِنَّكَ مَسْئُولٌ عَمَّا عَلَّمْتَهُ. You're going to be asked about what you instilled in him. And then what? The rest, وَهُوَ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ بِرِّكَ وَطَاعَتِهِ. He's going to be asked about something too. He's going to be asked about how he repaid your benevolence to him by teaching him with his benevolence to you. And he's going to be asked about his duty to Allah. وَعَنْ طَاعَتِهِ. Brothers and sisters, this subject is just so vast, an ocean. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us true understanding of qadar and help us realize our role in qadar and our responsibility in terms of our actions and our choices. And I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to help every person in a position where they have to make a critical decision to make the best decision for their dunya and for their akhirah. Allahumma ameen. Ud'u Allah wa antum muqinuna bil ijabah. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد أشرف الخلق وسيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. As we get ready to stand for our salah, I just ask the brothers once again, please make some space. Any space you see, please move forward, and we'll figure it out when we stand for salah now, so that our brothers don't have to stand at the door. Brothers and sisters, This subject is so vast, and my role in qadar and the future of my life, if I'm a young person, or my children's life, if I'm talking about my children, is so far-reaching. The effects of tarbiyah stay with the person the rest of their life. The effects of tarbiyah stay with the person the rest of their life. Even if they make better decisions as they grow up to reverse some of the toxic things that came about, they need to try so hard to overcome certain things inside them. I need to teach my children love. I need to teach them responsibility. I need to be their companion. I need to make sure that before I bring down the hammer, they realize that I really, really love them and I'm really there for them. I need to teach them self-worth. I need to teach them self-esteem. Brothers, most of these problems that we listed, whether you're talking about falling into illicit relationships, or leaving the deen and loss of faith, or you're talking about confusion in terms of gender identity, or other issues that may arise in terms of opioids and drugs. Most of these things could be averted by just this one thing. How to really instill in my son or daughter self-esteem. If I teach them that I make every decision for them until they're 30, and even until after they're 30, and they're under my authority because I'm their mother or I'm their father, then good luck finding self-esteem in a child that doesn't know how to be a decision maker. If I don't train my children to be decision makers, then I shouldn't be surprised when my daughter seeks validation from another guy outside. Why did she go behind my back and get into this haram? That devastation, wallahi, to the heart of that father when he hears that his daughter fell into a haram relationship. Why did she do that? A really good possibility is low self-esteem. Where did that come from? Is it because I had no connection with her? Or when I look at my son, and why did he get caught up in drugs? Why did he get caught up in drugs? Maybe because someone had more influence on them than me. And wallahi, if I have 20 or 30 years to build this bond with them, and someone could just come in a few weeks or a few months and destroy everything I built, it's a shame. It shows that I really didn't build something lasting with my children. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us, brothers and sisters. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala use us to really, really, really help our families, our children grow in their iman. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who make the right decisions and are able to avoid the pain and struggle that many, many, many of us here are going through currently. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us steadfast on faith. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who strongly believe in qadar and strongly submit to Allah's plan and strongly own up to their responsibility in the reality that they experience. Allahumma ameen. Allahumma ameen. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillah rabbil alamin wa aqim as-salah.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
لا إله إلا الله. استقيموا يرحمني يرحمكم الله. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا رسول الله. As you're going outside, you see there's a bake sale, and this bake sale is for Pakistan because of the monsoon floods that happened there. Anything collected from that money is going to be given to Helping Hands to be sent overseas to Pakistan. So please support in any way you can. The second thing is, tonight we have a lecture, the Friday Forum. It's going to be a continuation of this subject. How to balance between